kids to feed, black kids. So I said, man, y'all got to hit home runs because I'm greasing the skids for you guys. So, because God didn't bless me with any girls. I wish I had a girl. But anyway, so I went to work doing that and feeding my family at the same time. And I'm in the studio. And then they said, you want to do radio? I did radio. So I worked 7 days a week for like 3 years. 7 days a week. Didn't mind. I was feeding my family. I got a yellow Beetle. I had to keep payments up on that thing. And it cost me $1,700 for a car back in the day. So those are the things I did. And Charlotte, North Carolina, doing the news. And then the station manager heard you on the radio. They wanted to know, what does he look like? What does he look like? And he said, well, can you do TV? And they got a deal because anytime a reporter goes out on a story, the person who operates the minicam truck, all this technology you guys are using, is an engineer. I'm built-in engineer, so that means I had to sign on the transmitter every time you turn on the minicam truck and you put those little golden rods up in the air and it lines up with the Sears Tower or any tower where it accepts video and oral signals. And that was me. I had to sign it on. Then I had to get out the truck and do a live shot. I didn't mind. Why? I was feeding my family. Got to feed the family. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do to work. I did that in Charlotte, North Carolina for 9 years, doing the radio and the TV. But I didn't mind. And so one day I'm doing the news and they said, one of the anchormen, he got a big job in Baltimore. He was the main anchorman in Baltimore. I said, wow, congratulations. I hosted a party for him. He says, listen, why don't you come to Baltimore? I said, I don't know nobody in Baltimore. I'm from New York City, originally from New York City, from Harlem. Abyssinian Baptist Church. My minister was the Reverend Dr. Adam Clayton Powell, Sr., and all this stuff. He said, well, come on to Baltimore. And we want to pay you $17,000 a year. I said, ooh. I was making $8,000 a year in Charlotte, North Carolina. I went to 17. Man, I said, this is amazing. So I went to Baltimore making that money. And guess who's sitting next to me in the newsroom? Oprah Winfrey. We're all sitting there together. She's a cub reporter from Kingsport, Tennessee. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're buddies. I mean, every day we got off work, it was Oprah's job to figure out where we're going to have lunch because we ain't had no money. So we had to eat where it was free. And they always had free happy hours. You buy a drink, and you eat all the crab cakes you want, all the wings you want, if you buy a drink. So Oprah and I didn't drink. We drank a lot of Diet Coke. But we got them wings or crab cakes or whatever it was. We were there and having a good time working every day. He's a great writer, a great reporter. I mean, this is not the Oprah Winfrey you see on TV on the Oprah Winfrey Show. This is the Oprah Winfrey that was a gentle. We're both making peanuts, but we're happy to tell other people's stories because that's what we love, telling your story. You're homeless and you got kids in school and you're homeless. That's a story because you want something better. If I'm on the west side at a drive-by shooting and a child is shot and killed and laying on the street, and as I'm standing there, the mother pulls up and sees her son or daughter and starts crying. I'm a product of a historically black college. So I tell my cameraman, you go back to the car. I'm going to talk to her. So you want the interview? I said, your son that he did that really pleased you. He said, well, he's a straight A student, Mr. Norman. He was a straight A student. He didn't associate with gangs. He was a good boy. I said, do you want Chicago to know about that? He said, yeah, I want that. I want them to know about that. And so that's how I had those interviews and then they had interviews that he wanted us to do at Cabrini Green, Robert Taylor Homes, Adler Homes, Stateway Gardens. White reporters didn't want to go to our neighborhood. See, if you were going to could get an off-duty Chicago police officer or off-duty firefighter to go with you as a bodyguard. So I said, I don't want no bodyguard. I want to walk in there as a black man. Because one thing that you got to know, as you well know, everybody you know, 90% of the people in public housing are decent people. It's that 10% gangbangers that destroy it, sell drugs or crack or whatever. So I'm just there and doing my story, and I volunteered for all the stories. And one thing I was adamant about, I ain't interviewing any Negroes with bags on their head. Plastic bags on their heads, or they one tooth in their mouth and say, I saw everything. We're going to find somebody else. And when Reaganomics was big and was going up strong, I made sure that they said, you're going to Union Station and interview somebody about Reaganomics and the impact on the economy. Every black man or woman I interviewed looked good. They were dressed, shirt and tie, and that's who I put on TV. I didn't go for the okie. My job is to run the National Association of Black Journalists, and that's what I did. My mentors were Max Robinson, the first black to anchor the news on ABC, and he eventually came to work at Channel 5 as our anchorman. These are my mentors, but the biggest break me helping to see is all about how you help somebody else. So I get a call in the newsroom from Oprah Winfrey. She said, I'm so proud of you, Art. I'm so proud of you. What's Baltimore like? I said, it's nice. I said, I'm making $38,000 a year. Oprah said, oh, Lord, if I made that money, I'd probably die and go into heaven. I said, oh, it's not the best salary, but it's pretty good than what we were making. They said, you got any jobs open in Channel 5? I said, as a matter of fact, we don't have anything open in Channel 5, but I know about Rob going to Los Angeles to start something called Entertainment Tonight. And so she said, well, I want that job. Well, Oprah and I had the same agent in Baltimore. So we were joined at the hip, financially at the hip, because we had the same agent. And that's about it for the finances. Who would tell that in there, $1.7 billion. It's not where you come from, it's where you're going. So she did her thing. She said, all right, you got any jobs at Channel 5? I said, well, Rob Butler. He says, I want that job. I want that job. So I said, let me walk up to Monty Newman, who was the president of NBC at the time. We were based in the Merchandise Mart. So I said, you got to hire this lady, Oprah Winfrey. She's bad. She's a heck of a talk show host. She's a wonderful reporter, and she's my best friend. He said, all right. We have Phil Donahue in this building. He is the #1 talk show host in America, Phil Donahue. I said, well, you got to take her out to lunch. You'll see what I'm talking about. She's got this magnetic energy. So I said, I talked to Warner, my buddy, her buddy. This is the world's first producer of television talk shows. She was the first. She produced a show for Common Ground at WBBM TV, Hermine Hartman. I mean, she's a pioneer. Y'all don't know who she is. She's big time. But anyway, so they said, can you help me out? I said, yeah, we can do that. So they flew her in Chicago. She stayed at the Knickerbocker Hotel, but really stayed at my house. But the point is, we were all together, and they said, Oprah Winfrey. Now, let me tell you who Oprah Winfrey, what she looked like. Dark-skinned black woman with real short hair.
Tell them how she got the short hair.
Well, she had an accident in a beauty parlor. They put too much that lye stuff, the perm, in her hair, burned her hair out. She had short hair, not slim and pretty like she is today. And they said, I'm gonna take her out to lunch, all right. Now you remember at NBC, they have subliminal racism. All the blacks were in the same office. Me, Warner, a guy named Otis Buchanan, we were all in the same office, all the Negroes, and we were right across the hall from the news director. I said, man, so we said, well, let's go for it. So Oprah came up, and she interviewed for the job, and she got the job. Not from NBC, because he told her, the president of NBC told Oprah, said, listen, this is when Oprah told me, I think I talked myself out of the job. I said, what do you mean? He said, what would you do in my position? You got this unknown Oprah Winfrey from Baltimore, and I got Phil Donahue, who's the #1 talk show host in America, the guy with the silver hair. Remember what he looked like? It's silver hair. It looked like snow fell on his head. But the point is, and he said, I would go with the known commodity. And they had a 2-hour lunch. They talked for a long time, because Oprah can talk. I mean, the goal of any interview is to get them to talk, not you to talk, to get them to talk. And so he took her out to lunch, and he brought her back to my office. So me and Warner sitting there, she walks in, and she sits down, and he walks in. He said, thanks a lot, all right, I appreciate it. Oprah, it's a pleasure having lunch with you. And he walks out. Here's the subliminal racism that I want to talk about. She didn't get the job at NBC. She went across the street to ABC and got the job. It was called People Are Talking, not the Oprah Winfrey Show. People Are Talking. It was the name of the show. That was a show that Rob Weller hosted on. She got that job. And then they said, you have to do the news, Oprah, with a guy named Fahey Flynn at 4:30 every day. He was an anchorman, a white anchorman on ABC 7, Eyewitness News. So she did the talk show host in the morning and did the afternoon news at 4:30 with Fahey Flynn. She was doing very well, in my opinion, doing very well. Now the folks at Channel 5 said, all right, your girl's on TV. I said, yeah, I know. She said, I don't know. I said, she's going to be fine. She said, they looked at, see, the white man's image of pretty black women is Vanessa Williams, not a 250-pound Oprah Winfrey, but short hair, dark skin. So it's a difference. But see, people in Chicago saw her heart. See, she got on the air the first day. Everybody tuned in to Oprah. They didn't know her, never saw her before on Channel 7. Her numbers went up. Numbers are what they call ratings. Her numbers went up a little bit. Second day, higher. Third day, higher. It got to the point she was off the charts, and she was dark-skinned, overweight, and short hair. But people saw her heart. That's what counts. They saw her heart, and they said, man. So I'm president of the National Association of Black Journalists. We had a convention in Washington, D.C., and I'm, welcoming people there from all over America, all the blacks who are in the news business. And then I run into the president of NBC, who's now president of sales. He said, Art, Monty, you remember me? I said, oh, I'll never forget you. And, I drink a lot more liquor than I used to do. I said, why? He says, see, my job, Art, let me explain to you. My job as the president of NBC is to discover talent. You're supposed to discover talent, not take something that's already hits 12 home runs. You say, well, he's got the stance, the hitting power, and he's got good eye contact with the bat. You can't walk in the TV station as a big-time anchor person. You have to develop it. So here's what happened on NBC. We're in the building at NBC, and they said she was #1 at ABC, kicking butt. She was doing so well, they gave her her own show called The Oprah Winfrey Show. Then the numbers started going higher. It's almost as if when she was on TV at 10 o'clock in the morning in Chicago, every TV was on ABC. Now that translates into big bucks, mega bucks. So they said, okay, let's stay with this. This is unbelievable. So Oprah wanted more. She said, listen, I want my own network. Thus, King World was developed. She's the chairman of the board of King World. So she became syndicated all over America, from this little tiny TV station in Chicago to now the mega system all over the world, Oprah Winfrey. So I'm sitting there in the background saying, see, I'm talking to Warner. I said, look, see, these people passed on her because she was dark, chubby, short hair. They were looking for Vanessa Williams to walk in there and say, I want to do the news. That didn't happen. It didn't happen. Her heart won. And lots of things, I wanted NBC to really take over the top spot of being diverse in hiring. Now, you got to think about NBC has been very good to black people. The National Association, very good to black people. Why? Because we have somebody called the Branch Rickey of broadcasting. Branch Rickey, if you don't know, he is the guy for the Los Angeles Dodgers that said, okay, let's integrate baseball. We're going to bring Negroes in. They're going to play baseball. Let's hire this guy, Jackie Robinson. Who made that decision? Branch Rickey made that decision to bring a Negro into baseball, and boy, did he kick butt. It's kind of like Oprah did, you know what I mean? He kicked butt. She kicked butt. So we had this guy named, I don't want to say his name yet, but the point is, he hired, there was no pickets in front of NBC because there were no lines in front of NBC. No campaign calls from the Urban League or the NAACP or Rainbow Push. This guy did it on his name is Ed Plainer. I'll tell you his name, Ed Plainer. He is the branch Ricky of broadcasting. He went out and he hired in 1 month. Now, NBC was an all boys club. You walked to NBC, they were smoking cigars, all the Irish, they're talking smack, you know. I walked into the newsroom, I said, because my job is to read up on these people and read up on everything I can find on this stuff. So I'm opening, see, we didn't have Google. I had to go to my day, it was called Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature. You had to go to the library to find out stuff. So before I came to Chicago, I did my research on everything and everybody. That's when I found out that NBC was the first station to hire a black to anchor sports. The first. Who was he? He's not 100 years old. His name is Greg Gumbel, March Madness on CBS. He worked at Channel 5 as a sports anchor at Channel 5. He went to De La Salle High School, and he was a classmate of Mayor Daley. They were best friends. Mayor Daley, you should see the pictures Mayor Daley showed me. Him and Greg Gumbel hanging out, and Brian Gumbel, and Renee Gumbel. Then Gumbel family infected NBC positively. Renee Gumbel wrote all the commercials and promos for the news. Coming up tonight on 10 o'clock news, a mother saves her baby after falling out of a window. She wrote that copy, Renee Gumbel. And Brian Gumbel was kicking butt doing sports for NBC on the weekends before he went to HBO. And Greg was doing a great job at ESPN after he left Channel 5. So we had lots more first. We had a captain retired from Channel 5 and went to work at ABC News. And she anchored the news up until 3 years ago of retirement. So she became one of our reporters at Channel 5. We were the first station to hire Asians on the air. We went somewhere and we found Linda Yu, hired her. Then this is a white guy making all these decisions now. Then he said, I want Hispanics on the air. So he went out and hired Linda Alvarez to do the weather at Channel 5. And one day he's flying back from the board of directors meeting at NBC, and he's on the plane sitting back, listening to the music on the plane, and the guy says, good afternoon, this is your pilot. It'll be 59 degrees in Chicago, but there's no chance of rain, but you might want to carry an umbrella because there's a 40% chance of rain. So he's the president of NBC is saying, who guy? So and somebody said, he's the black pilot. Black pilot? What do you mean black pilot? He's flying a 747, and he went to a black college too? I said, man, Tuskegee. I said, man, so I'm in the back of the plane. I said, listen, I don't know the pilot, but I just want to say hello to him. This is before 9/11. So I told the stewardess I wanted to say hello to him. And lo and behold, he's walking down the aisles towards me. I'm going to Chicago. I'm on my way to Chicago for an interview, and here's this tall, he's 6'4". He's walking towards me with his captain's uniform on, all the stripes here, and he had his hat on. Man, did he look impressive. I said, look at this brother. So he walks in, and he sits down next to me on the plane. He said, Jim Tillman, how you doing? I said, wow. He said, I want to cry. I'm so excited. And he blew me away. I said, black people are doing things. Look at him. He's flying a 747. He says, listen, what are you coming to Chicago for? I said, I'm going for a job interview at WMAQ. He says, you can do that. You can do it. I said, what do you do now? I said, I anchor the news in Baltimore, but I'm coming to Chicago as a reporter. He says, well, come on, let's front. He's let me sit next to him in the cockpit and land the plane. You couldn't do that today. But he's there, and he was telling me stories about how he got started. He went to Lincoln University. This is Jim Tillman, black man, first weatherman in America, black. He's overqualified, as most of us are. So he's sitting there, and he's telling me about, he went to school at Lincoln University. I said, that's a black college. And you go to Tuskegee too? He said, I went there for my master's degree. Tuskegee. I said, wow, I'm impressed. I'm sitting there. I said, didn't say anything about Lincoln University in your bio. He said, well, you didn't read the fine print. I said, okay. I said, so I know something about Lincoln University. He says, what do you know about it? I said, that's where Althea Gibson used to teach tennis. Althea Gibson, for those of you who don't know, Althea Gibson was the first black woman to win Wimbledon as the best tennis player in the world in the 1950s. Not like the Williams sisters today. She was there first. They stand on her shoulders. Wimbledon, as the top tennis player in the world, and they said, she won she got the trophy, she got the silver cup and everything. There was nothing for her to do. They have endorsements, no accolades, no bone, nothing to give her. She didn't get a job. It's kind of like if you look at the old pictures of Jesse Owens when he won the 1936 Olympic Games and got 4 gold medals. They didn't have a damn thing for Jesse Owens to do. He used to race horses. Race against he and his best friend, Ralph Metcalf. They used to race horses to feed their family. See, number one, you got to feed your family. So Jesse Owens, the world's Adolf Hitler looked at Jesse Owens and said, in your hand, even though you won the gold medal at the 1936 Olympic Games in Berlin, I'm not shaking your hand. No way. He walked away from Jesse Owens.
He didn't shake his hand, but he did invite him down to...
But that day, he didn't shake his hand. And Jesse Owens he used to live in Chicago. His best friend was Harold Washington. Ralph Metcalf, if you go to the Federal Building downtown Chicago, which I'm still kind of pissed about, you go to the Ralph Metcalf Federal Building, ain't a damn picture on the wall that shows who Ralph Metcalf was. He was a congressman from Illinois. Ralph Metcalf was a congressman from Illinois. He went to Marquette University, got a law degree, very successful, but this Negro had to chase horses to feed his family. You look at you put down Jesse Owens or Ralph Google, today's Google, you will see pictures of them running against a horse. Negroes running against horses. This is the man who's the fastest human alive.
That's right.
Well, today, we have something for athletes. We have a bone. We have something for them. So you can do your job, and you can be Stephen Curry and make big money. LeBron James, big money. But back in the day, Bill Russell, who had 8 rings, he didn't make he didn't make Michael Jordan money, but they didn't make a lot of money. I talked to Norm Van Leer, he used to play with the Bulls. He says, man, that Bill Russell, he was as a member of the Boston Celtics. So we have to crawl before we walk. And these kinds of things happen over and over again. That's why I just finished talking to a group of students at Morehouse University. I went to Notre Dame, University of Iowa, Chicago State. I want to excite kids to go to these small towns to do the news. Get some wind beneath your wings, and like our cameramen who run cameras like you have here. They cannot be paid according to union rules under $75,000 a year. Most of them make over $100,000. And if you're a cameraman, videotape editor, any kind of editor, we call it engineering now, you can make close to $200,000 a year. But you might have to go to Ukraine and stay there for 2-3 months in a war zone. But you feeding your family. You see, the number one rule is to feed the family. You got to feed the family. So these things, this is the kind of business that I want to excite you about. There are great success stories in our business. You look at one of the things that the Branch Rickey Broadcasting did. There were no women in our newsroom. He went to Indianapolis, Indiana, and grabbed Jane Pauley and said, I want you to do the news. Just had lunch with her 2 months ago at the Union League Club. She was speaking there, and we sat there and talked. Time that she was black. She said, we all got hired at the same time. We're all minorities. First woman, first black anchor woman, first Asian. They all hired on the same day. And the one that kicked major league butt is Rod Prince. He was a writer and producer at NBC. And then he became the executive producer of the 10 o'clock news on NBC. And then he became the bureau chief of NBC Network News. Then he became the executive producer of NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. And he was just a writer. Here's a man making over $300,000 a year now. But the point is, he's never been in front of the camera. But there are a lot of jobs behind the cameras at CBS, NBC, ABC, GN, and Fox News. A lot of them. I mean, we just hired a guy 2 weeks ago, Everett Cassidy. He was my intern at Channel 5. He is now anchoring the news on weekends on NBC.
Tell me about Don.
Don,
Lemon.
oh yeah. Want me to tell that story? Well, president of NBC, who will remain nameless, said Warner and I sit in the office, and then Channel 5 as a reporter. You know the guy from CNN? Y'all know who that is? Yeah. So he walks into me and Warner's office and says, I'm upset. I'm upset. You brothers, I'm real upset. So Warner said, sit your ass down. You ain't talking to 15 people. We just me and Art. He said, man, did you guys get the gay speech when you got called to the president of NBC? He said, what do you mean? He says, he telling me all this stuff about, if you know anything about Don Lemon, he's openly gay. And back then, it was not popular to be gay. And so he says, you can't be on cover of the gay magazine. There was a picture of him in one of the gay magazines, Don Lemon. And off at this gay speech. He gave me, did you guys get a gay speech? So we said, no, but you gotta be like, let the water on our duck's back. You got the damn job. You got a good paying job. We paying you over $300,000 a year. So just sit here. He said, I don't like that gay speech. I said, no, that's okay, let it go, let it go. We had to calm the brother down. He was ready to fight somebody because the president of NBC said, when you're not on camera, when you're not working for us at Channel 5, no gay stuff. I mean, I've heard that before when I was in small market doing the news in North Carolina. One of the things I remember, my cameraman was a guy named Bob Helms, grandson to Jesse Helms, Senator Jesse Helms. And in fact, the TV station where I worked, Jesse Helms used to be on TV doing the anti-busing editorials. So one of the things that I was told is, all right, if you want to last a long time at NBC, don't socialize with white women. I said, okay, no problem. I got no problem. I got a black wife. Fine, I'm gonna be right there for you. And so I could have said, how dare you ask me that? But I said, no. I said, I'll do it, no problem. And then just to solidify it, the news director at NBC said, all right, he flew me to Chicago for the interview, and my wife stayed at the Holiday Inn while I was getting interviewed. So he says, where's your wife? I said, my wife is at the hotel. He said, well, bring her over here to the merchandise mart. We'd like to say hello to her. So I said, what the hell is that about? So I go back to the office. I'm talking to Jim Tillman and Warner Son. I said, why the hell does he want to see my wife? He got my interviews and my resume reel, and my videotape reel. Why does he want to see my wife? She doesn't do anything in TV. She's a public school teacher. All right, just go get your wife and bring her over. I brought her over, walked up to the 19th floor of the merchandise mart, walked in the newsroom, and I said, Paul, this is Mrs. Norman. He said, how you doing? And he walked away. So my wife looked at me and said, what the hell was that about? I said, I haven't a clue. So we all went back to the Negro office. That's what we called it, the Negro office. So we all had this conversation. So my wife said, what was that about? And Warner says, they wanted to make sure you were black because they got rid of Greg Gumbel because he was married to a white woman. So he said, oh, shucks, sugar, honey, iced tea. We said, so I see some people come from, before the Trump, they were Trumpers. But in the 50s and 60s, they were Trumpers. So they had an impression of what you're supposed, I mean, women at NBC, Deborah Norville walked up to me and said, all right, let's go get a drink. I said, I got to go somewhere. I got to go to Rainbow Push for a meeting. I'm not going to go to a restaurant, sit down with a white woman, and you walk by and see me. That's what I feared in North Carolina. I couldn't have got to Baltimore if I had that mindset. So my mindset is, I'll sit with a white guy. I ain't sitting with no white women. Because I don't want it to look as you walk by and say, he hitting on her? He hitting on her? What's he doing? That ain't going to happen. Me and Warner said, no, we're not going to do that. And Warner's wife is Japanese. Warner's wife is Japanese. And what's so nice about it, during the end of the Korean conflict, President of the United States imprisoned anybody with slanted eyes. Put them in internment camps. And Warner's wife was born in an internment camp. They had a thriving business in San Francisco, and they took her and took everything they owned. And the government seized everything and put her parents in an internment camp, and that's where she was born. Now you fast forward 100 years later, Bill Clinton's president of the United States, and he apologizes to all those who were imprisoned improperly for that kind of so-called atrocity. You see, he said, we apologize. And so what he did was he gave everybody who were documented members who went into, now Sadako is her name, but her brother was in the army when they imprisoned mom and dad, serving in the army. This is how bad racism was in the 50s and 60s. So I tell my kids, be careful. My intern went to, they just hired in Channel 5. I sit down and give him the same speech that I'm giving you. I said, listen, you're going to your first, now here's a guy sitting in my office every day, 5 days a week for 6 months, going out with me on stories. I do an interview, and then I give him the microphone, he does the interview. But it's for his videotape resume. It's for his resume, everywhere I went. And then he said, Art, I sent out 180 tapes over the past 3 weeks. Not a nibble. No one said anything to me. They didn't say nice tape. Just blew him off as didn't happen. So what did he do? He says, all right. He's sitting in my office one day crying. I said, let me close the door. I don't want Warner to see, because Warner will tell you, stop crying like a baby. Warner Saunders is real hard. I'm not that hard, but Warner is real hard. Closed the door, and I said, man, get the cry out. I said, I got a plan. He said, what's your plan, Mr. Norman? He still calls me Mr. Norman. I said, you can call me Art. He says, I said, I have a white intern, went to DePaul University. He's in Grand Junction, Colorado, because I always made sure my stable included at least 1 or 2 whites, in addition to 2 or 3 blacks, because whites will help out blacks if given the opportunity. Because when I went to MC an event at Rainbow Push, I would turn the microphone over to one of my interns. They may be white and they may be black. One time I was emceeing an event at Rainbow Push Convention, and I gave the microphone to Jade Mathis, Judge Mathis's daughter. She was my intern. And then the other lady was a white lady from Indiana University, and she went out and did the rest of the MC work from the podium and everybody else. But the point is, these people are around me all the time. But there's special kind of white people. I interviewed them, and I know they didn't say, I said, we're going to Cabrini Green today. I didn't want them to say, oh, I don't want to go to Cabrini Green. That's where they shoot people. But no, I said, listen, when we go to the hood, you got to walk like you're in charge. You look at people, you look them right in the face. How you doing? Fine. And that's the way we do things. And so we did that, and Everard Cassimy was in Grand Junction, Colorado. And so they had a party one night. All of the reporters of all the different stations went to a party. So he said, you come to the party? So Everard, who's a new anchorman at Channel 5, says, Mr. Norman says, he doesn't want me to socialize. I'll stay right here in the room. See, the white intern, his roommate, was my black intern. These 2 guys were together. But the white intern wanted to go to the party with everybody else. The black man said, Mr. Norman said, stay in the damn room. Don't go out, because the population of Grand Junction, Colorado was 0.002% black. So there's not a lot going on. In fact, when they walked his resume into the news director, when the white intern walked the black intern's resume into the news director's office, he was hired on the spot, despite the fact they didn't have a good database of black viewers in Grand Junction, Colorado, but he hired him. But he kept saying, he says, no, I'm not going to no party. Mr. Norman said, don't go to no parties like that. Y'all have a nice time. Well, here's what happened, the downside of that. They were leaving the party. Reporters do drink a lot. Not me, but some of them. So they were drunk. And they lived in this apartment complex. They were coming back from the party, and the white intern is dating this lady. And both of them are shit-faced drunk. And so he looks at her and she says, "Rape!" They're telling jokes. She wasn't being raped, that was her boyfriend. Somebody in the apartment complex called 911. They came out and arrested the white man, charged him with rape, and he went to jail. The black intern, where was he? In the room. Because now, see, I'm upset because I should have given that same speech to the white guy. That's my mistake, and I apologize to him profusely. I should have given him that speech, but I worked real hard to get him back into the business. I told him, listen, I want you to see this guy, Joel Wiseman. He's an agent in Chicago. And I told Joel, I said, Joel, I want you to clean up his record. He's got a rape charge on his rap sheet. He said, I'll take care of it. So he petitioned the courts. He got the rape charge thrown out because the girlfriend, when she got sober, said, I wasn't raped. I wasn't raped at all. We were just horsing around. But see, an ear a block away heard it. And can you imagine what would have happened if it would have been a black man and she said that?
Art, let me thank you, but let's.
Okay.
I want to have
Questions.
Ask you some questions.
Okay.
Who you are and what you're interested in.
Yes.
My name is Allison Molden. I'm a sophomore at Chicago State University, and I'm a communications and media arts major.
Oh, good for you.
Thank you.
I used to go down there because Kanye West's mom taught there.
Yeah,
I used to
Garza?
go. Yeah, I went down there, and Warner and I lectured to her class, and she used to say to Warner, "Can you do something, my boy? He crazy." So what
That
she
is
said.
the story.
Yeah, that's yeah.
As far as longevity in the media industry goes, I know you probably see like a rotation of faces.
Yes.
How do you, as a black creator, maintain that longevity? Like being on the air for 40 years.
41. That's right.
41 years
That's
as
right.
a black person is incredible. Like Oprah Winfrey isn't even the TV show isn't on daytime television anymore.
Right.
But how do you keep people interested as a black person in your media?
So you have to cater to your base. And I know my base is black people. So they see a report from Art Norman, they say, okay, he's telling a story about somebody overcoming an obstacle. Or I MC a lot of events. And so I'm in the neighborhood a lot. People know me. And they said, okay, so when it came time to renew my contract, I had a great agent. He's the former U.S. Attorney, Thomas Nathaniel Todd. He was my agent. And my agent was so strict. He says, the news director said, we're calling to renew Mr. Norman's contract to work at Channel 5. He said, well, this is Tom Todd talking. He's the first black U.S. attorney under Dan Webb when he was, under Jim Thompson, I'm sorry. And so he said, meet me at Gladys's. That's a luncheonette on the South Side. We'll talk about Art Norman at Gladys's. I don't want to play golf with you. I don't play that. But I want a restaurant, and we'll talk about Mr. Norman. So that's who my guy was. So he negotiated all my deals at Channel 5. One of them. He used to be president of Rainbow Push at one time, Thomas Todd. But the point is, that's who I reached out. He represented me, Derek Blakely, Renee Ferguson, because we thought that, most of us in this business represent them as an agent.
Who was GM before?
Larry Word.
Larry. I was in the office with Larry. And before you go, I'm going to show you something. Do you know who it was?
What? Is that right?
And he said, what do you you think?
Thank you. You see how that happened?
It happens, look, there are two things. One, you have to be prepared.
Yes.
You have to be prepared.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And you have to be prepared. But two, what Art's telling you is there is internal politics, and it could be, Art, come here, I want to show you something, and there's a clip.
Right.
It could be, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So that has a life of its own.
Yes, it does.
To your question, you have to, in media,
Yes.
you read a lot, at least you should. read
Yes, a lot.
A lot, because you've got to stay up
Yes.
on everything,
Mhm.
all right? And it's the new car, it's the electric car, it's the crime story, it's politics.
Yes.
It's just, you read a lot, because you never, ever know what you're going to be called to do. I am accidentally a political analyst.
I didn't know about the Don Lemon story.
Yeah, so he showed me, he said, hey, look at this and see what you think. He showed it to me 2 or 3 times. He says, and I told him, I said, you put that guy down there with water, that's your problem. But he's okay on air.
Sure.
Don't nobody go gay. I mean,
No,
who
that's
cares?
true.
But you read a lot.
Yes.
You read
Wow.
magazines.
You see, I just learned something today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I got done. I helped Larry go down.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you ever watch a show on TV, on NBC? Yeah, Indigo ain't no joke. And she look good too, don't she? Anybody know a question over here? Hey, give me a question.
Hi, my name is Dominique. I'm a content creator and I'm also a singer artist as well.
You sing?
Yes.
I do too. Watch this. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. That's it. That's it.
Well, that's a good try. As journalists on video sharing apps like TikTok say their accounts creates trust and combat misinformation, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, at NBC, we have a policy, strict policy. The phone that I have here that's owned by NBC, they don't want TikTok on that. TikTok is not allowed on any employee. I don't care what you do. Your secretary, your office worker, you work in a mailroom, you can't have TikTok on your phone or you lose your job.
Yeah, because that's information.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Absolutely.
why? I just.
It's very informative and it helps out with sharing awareness, information. Me being a singer myself, I promote my music on there and I've been
Doing well, huh?
Yes.
I just worry
What
about.
Facebook and
Well, Facebook at NBC, we have to be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram every day. They want to be said. The president of NBC says, "All right, we're in the media business. Get into this new media. I want an article from you, Allison, Brant Miller, every day, but no TikTok. No, we don't play TikTok. So, but you have to be on social media. So I'm on all the media sites, but I'm not TikTok. So good luck on that. See, you has your home address and phone numbers and everything. Okay.
Yeah, I know about that as well, but I don't. Right, yeah, it's.
You ain't got a lot of money yet.
yeah.
That information can get spread around.
Are you all aware that in Congress now, in the U.S. government, they're about to make a rule, no government employees on TikTok?
Yeah. Even with
Really?
the face,
Yeah.
even with the face.
Yeah, Biden thing?
too.
Yeah,
Wow.
There's like.
and the reason is the
Wow.
information, the Chinese got all,
It's because TikTok's too
information,
loose.
they can outlaw
Say it
TikTok.
again.
TikTok too loose. They don't have the, since they popping now, there's a lot of new creators coming up too.
Right.
They not know a lot of these creators, it's not only that a lot of these creators aren't good, but they're, you got malicious intents as well.
Oh, is that
So,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Not even with that as well, they don't have the security backup. That
Gotcha.
like Facebook,
Yeah.
Twitter,
Yeah.
Instagram, they don't have the security like
Yeah.
they do. So it's a lot easier to get into their files and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Facebook and Snapchat, they're going through it as well. Because y'all might have actually gotten it, maybe
Yeah.
on a newsletter or anything like that, stating like, hey, if you had Snapchat since like 2015,
Right.
sign this, and there's a possibility that you can get some money. Because there's hackers that's constantly, they're gonna constantly pop up,
Right. That's sure.
I think the difference with TikTok is it's owned by the Chinese government and they can sell your algorithm.
Is that right?
If you got money, like he was saying, and that could become an issue.
Yeah, if they had Oprah on TikTok, they know everything she does.
Oprah is on TikTok, by the way.
Oh, is that right?
There's a lot of like fake
Viral
They know everything she's doing.
information is shared rapidly over TikTok, and there are specific
Wow.
trend cycles. that
All you guys on
collect-
TikTok?
Oh, most definitely.
Well, not everybody in the
Oh.
room, but yeah.
I'm on TikTok.
You don't play that.
I don't, I'm a little old school.
I think we're gonna witness something along the lines of the modern fireside.
Yeah.
Like chants and stuff like that.
I'll be darned.
That FDR used to do.
Yeah.
Because just this morning, I saw an update from a politician who was telling us about what happened with, the Silicon Valley Bank. And
Oh,
how
yeah.
the United States government is going to, essentially.
It originally started with Apple products when they brought it into the iPhone. And after that, a lot of these other apps started to come to fruition. And
So you can make me say anything with my face
on
on another body?
You can make Joe Biden sing a rap song.
No!
Yes. I can show you a rap
Really?
song that AI created with Joe
Yeah,
Biden.
it's AI created.
It's Joe Biden's face?
It's Joe Biden's face
Voice.
and voice.
And voice.
And it's so realistic, it's terrible.
Like, I literally, it's a little funny, but literally
Yeah.
the other day I saw a video of Joe Biden and Barack Obama playing
Call of Duty
together.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
With
Playing
Donald
what?
Trump. They had Donald Trump in there too.
Playing what?
Call of Duty is a
Video game.
interactive
Call of Duty?
game.
Yes. Barack Obama and Joe Biden playing the game together.
I saw Joe Biden rap
Throw a
with
grenade,
singers.
buddy.
I was like,
Wow.
singers.
He told him throw a grenade, Biden. Wow, okay.
So what are
Wow!
Technology
what
is
do you
insane.
think about?
I'm learning from you guys.
Every day. What do you think about artificial intelligence?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes.
3D printed and
So yesterday on the news,
Uh-huh.
it was Lester Holt
Yes.
on Lester's.
That's your buddy.
That's my buddy, Lester on the station, and they are exposing artificial voicing. So now you can take the voice and you can do whatever you want with it, and this is public and free. And so they did a demonstration.
Free?
It's free. So it's artificial intelligence of the guy, so.
Damn!
So Lester did it. You just say, my name is Lester Holt, welcome to the news this evening. Okay, done.
Yeah.
And then they take it and they type something, and I'm Lester Holt, and I forgot to tell you, I'm gay. And it doesn't, and it's authentic. You don't know about
So
this?
real, you cannot
It's
tell
so
the
different.
difference.
So it seems like we're schooling you about the new stuff that's going on right now.
Wow. I saw that video of Tom Cruise doing a rap song.
I guess.
Yeah, that's artificial intelligence.
There's also an app that's going out with voice and put it over a recording and they'll take your voice and copy a famous person or celebrity that you choose of and they can imitate your voice to sound like them. So like she said, you can say anything that you choose. You can make a rap song, you can do anything and say Barack Obama. And Barack Obama will be singing your song, every lyric by lyric.
They take the algorithms of his voice?
Yep,
No,
everything.
no, they take the syntax, they take the voice itself, the sound,
Pitch,
the
modality.
rhythm.
All that.
Really?
All of us.
So, did you all see the
Even your laugh.
Warhol movie? It was something on Warhol, I forgot what it was.
Andy Warhol?
Uh-huh,
Okay.
okay. When he was talking, that was not his voice.
No.
That was artificial, intelligence.
But they've been doing that already with movies.
CGI, they've been doing it.
Big Smalls movies with the new
Yeah.
artists that came out. A lot of artists and
Yeah.
rappers that's on stage or music video that
Right.
make videos of
Yeah.
performance with their image. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they can take your information from your phone. If you got an Apple phone and you do your voice recordings, they can take that and just use
Actually.
clone your voice.
Hacking it got so big now. It was it's really
Glad I
young.
came here.
Man, really young people doing this as well. So I'm really big on like the gaming scene. I'm a streamer of the game. And
What's your favorite game?
um,
Mine is Madden.
Tekken.
Is that right?
I'm a fighter.
Last of Us.
Wow.
That's great.
Long story short, it's a game coming out called Grand Theft Auto 6, right?
Yeah.
This dude,
I heard
he's
about it.
like 17, 18. He ain't 18 because they still charge him as an adult though. He basically leaked, had a huge company about it, probably about as big as NBC.
Yeah.
He hacked Rockstar and put out GTA 6 like a trailer for it, something like that. He's locked up for life now. For
He's
life.
locked up.
For life.
Yep.
For life.
Because
He's like R. Kelly.
Because he
Intellectual property.
because he
Intellectual property.
because he hacked the Rockstar servers and leaked the game early.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before
He's locked up for
And if you
life.
can imagine,
For
Yeah.
life. That's crazy.
Wow.
Like,
That
life.
is
He's
crazy.
not getting out. He's like 17.
And it got farther to the point where there's a white producer who made his own virtual artist
Mm-hmm.
that makes
Oh,
music.
yes.
Even
As
though
a
he's
black
not good at
person.
music,
Yeah.
he's a black, virtual.
almost technical basics. But he's making, this virtual artist is making hip hop music for black people.
You guys are so smart.
It's insane. And then think about it this way, with the push to online banking and stuff like that, the big chain or the bike chain, all that money is becoming available for a lot of people all across the world. It's really, I don't really know what happened moving forward that, but
Yeah.
I want to ask you, have you heard about ChatGPT?
No, tell me about Chat
you don't know
GPT.
about that for
Well, I
real?
want you to, I want to tell me.
Okay, yeah, you want-
ChatGPT is an AI that creates authentic literature with, like, within the confines of anything that you could think of. You could say, ChatGPT, make me a leasing agreement that favors the tenant. ChatGPT can draft it. You could say, if you were a journalist, write me an article about President Zelensky in Ukraine. They can completely format it from the beginning, that it's going to bring about the end of modern journalism.
Future.
So many people are like, I want to be a writer. And I take a lot of, it's my craft, it's my passion.
Yes.
But to see, like, to compete, it's like playing chess against an AI.
Just like with
It's,
virtual art.
exactly.
Yeah.
They steal bits of things from all across the internet and they reformulate it to where it's unrecognizable. My sister is in college right now and she uses ChatGPT with a lot of her friends to create individual and unique articles they use it for a paper bank. All of them enter in different search words and they create full length. These are papers, yes. Yes, and these papers are in like Chicago, APA, Times New Roman. It's perfect, like setup. It's perfect. You would not. It's indistinguishable from human text. It's almost like it's sad because I know as a writer, why did AI have to come after writing? There's so many things that AI could actually be better used for.
Yeah.
But it's coming for the humanities first, which is unusual. The arts, the music, the writing, the literature. Always the humanities, but wait till it moves on to other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they even for me, for example, I'm a singer, right? And I write my own music. They can also make lyrics for you. They can produce your own soundtrack. Like
Get-
I want.
Give me some acapella right now.
Okay. I'm gonna sing Mary Had a Little Lamb because you put me on the spot.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
cool
All
with
right.
that? All right. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. So back to what I was saying.
Whoa, man!
That's what I'm saying. Wait,
Y'all got some
for
talent up in
example-
here. Up
For
in here.
example, I can ask the AI to produce a song that sounds like Whitney Houston, Shaka Khan, and Mary J. Blige, and it will sound like it. It will sound good.
You don't know about this for real?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm telling. I want to hear from you guys.
I got a little something that's a little kind of different, but did you hear about it's a huge possibility, and this kind of really, really big. It's a possibility Google and YouTube could be getting shut down.
Shut down?
Shut down.
I
For
heard
copyright.
that. For what?
Not for copyright, because of the algorithm that's been getting put out lately and the things that's been happening.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, they
A lot of
you
social
know,
media, even
YouTube,
Facebook had
Is
it.
that right?
YouTube
They can
has.
have Facebook come
The
to
algorithm is susceptible
Hide
to
your
threat.
algorithm. They have an algorithm where if they don't like what you're talking about, the people who subscribe to your channel, it won't pop up on their feed, it won't pop up in
It was
their.
like shadow banning.
Like if I'm on YouTube and I don't like MAGA anything,
Right.
I can put that in there. I'll never see MAGA anything.
No,
Yeah,
now if
but
MAGA
also-
was actually talking about something real that the government or
Oh, yeah.
the population as a whole didn't really agree with,
Yeah.
then YouTube would put, just for instance, Red Ross was talking about, had some guys on there talking about Dr. Fowler, really put his video in an algorithm where nobody could find it. You have to dig and dig and dig.
What?
Yeah.
And then the algorithm
And
contains
that's
the
against the
biases
freedom
of
of
the
speech.
programmer. So if the
Yeah.
programmer is racist, the algorithm becomes
Uh-huh.
racist. They shadow ban black people on TikTok
Yes.
because they think, oh, the algorithm is a computer and it's programmed by a man. The computer's like, well, if black people interact with black people's videos,
Thank you.
I'm only
They
going
don't
to
know
show black
about that.
videos
They
to
don't
black
know
people.
about that.
It's
Wow.
insane.
So like, basically like, when you, anytime you search in, especially if you have a profile
Sure.
on YouTube, anytime you search something in, you develop an algorithm. That means YouTube is getting this rhythm of what you like to see, what you like to watch, maybe
Yeah.
what you like to upload and produce, right? Especially if you're a content creator.
The algorithm.
When this happens, you know, it's a lot of people they end up having the same algorithm. So say for instance, two people at the same time, randomly anywhere in the world, put in the same rap song. You feel me? This algorithm is gonna start. This algorithm is gonna grow, right? The radical groups, ISIS, all of their videos and stuff like that have been popping up dramatically over the last like 4, 5, 6 months, something like that.
Yeah.
This has made many people go and do a lot of crazy things. You know, there are a lot of impressionists across the world, monkey see, monkey do type people.
Right.
This is making people lash out and do a lot of crazy stuff. So now YouTube and Google, because Google also has an algorithm there with you, partner with YouTube.
Mhm.
It's kinda
So
weird
let
to
me
say
tell you
this. It's like,
something, let me suggest something to you. So,
You guys are so smart.
the person who really used this for his benefit was who? It was Donald.
Donald Trump.
See, I did analysis once
Okay.
for GM,
Okay.
political. How did Trump win? And my answer was, it was all about the algorithm. It was
Social
all
media.
about the algorithm.
Does not
Behind
take
the
You
much.
seen him tweeting, right?
There
Well,
you
me
go.
and-
He
you seen him
targeted, he
tweeting, right?
tweeted, and he did
Social
the
media.
algorithm.
Yep, he
But
seen
me and
it.
Art just cross-measured
Yeah.
the close encounters of the third kind.
And see, it's scientific.
Yeah.
It's not what you say.
Right.
Okay, we just did something today, right?
Right.
We got a new tool,
Yeah.
the SEO tool.
Right.
Okay, I thought you looked, what is it called, Surfer? You hear of Surfer?
No,
So
that's,
Surfer, you put in, I thought it was for the whole article. No, it's not for the whole
Really?
article. No, it's for the headline,
Yep.
to get people to read the article. So I got this article, me, April Pryor, to talk about black women and their hair.
Yeah.
That's the Hermine.
yeah.
I wrote it.
Sure.
Okay, they wrote it, and they said, black women get cancer from perms in their hair. And I'm like, what? So what you do is you make that your headline,
Yeah.
then you do the body of your
Yeah.
article. So here's my question to you with all of this, because I had figured it out from newspapers. I got that. But do you think, and as you know, with the newspapers, they are dismissing people. I mean, not just the newspapers, but the whole, any kind of media thing, they're just laying off. You know, Google 15,000, 18,000, letting people off. So I could do a newspaper.
Yeah.
And I could say, I want music reviews, movie reviews, fashion. And I don't need a reporter. I can do it through artificial intelligence. A story on the Oscar. What was Oscar night really like and who
Yeah.
won? Bam! They do a story in about a minute.
Sometimes less than that. The
Less than
AI
that.
is so sensitive
That's right.
that if you're scrolling on your phone,
Yeah.
if you stop to look at a picture of something,
Right.
the AI is monitoring you for how many milliseconds
right.
it took for you to stare at that picture, what conclusion you came to, and how they can slide an advertisement
That's
in.
right.
Wow.
It's really insane how good these
So
computers
here's
are.
my question. Do you think this is going to hit the television newsrooms?
I don't think so. I know that you're talking about what's out there now. I know that Harvard's doing a big thing about the artificial intelligence, people writing term papers and things like that, and they ain't writing nothing. But Harvard's looking at this intensely. Same thing with Princeton. I saw all the reports out of our Ivy League schools, and they're monitoring it. They want to know what young people are doing, and they're not doing anything. They're using this artificial intelligence.
Nothing at all.
Wow.
Also,
Done
too,
deal.
Go ahead.
that's not even the only thing. It's like with the whole YouTube Google thing, right? It's a possibility they can get shut down. It's a section. It's this law basically. It's
Yeah.
called Section 230. I didn't know how huge it was. Section 230 basically says any content that you upload onto these sites is not in Google or YouTube's, like they don't own this. This is not their content. You are your own separate content creator. So this, what you're uploading, has basically nothing to do with us. You're just using our site. They've used that to get out of multiple, I'm talking about multiple lawsuits over the years. The things that people are, I'm sorry to cut you off. The things that people are starting to upload now, though, are too extreme. People are killing themselves, going to go try to blow up people's churches, going to go try to destroy people's families. It's ISIS. These are a lot of radical groups coming out. So
Even when it was in
it's a huge chance that they really can get shut down. And there's another thing too. The last CEO for YouTube was there for 7 years.
Yeah.
She just stepped down out of nowhere. That's a huge.
I just interviewed her on with me and Charlie. Absolutely.
And she said nothing about it, did she?
No, not at all.
Yes,
She said they're selling TV subscriptions. Why don't you subscribe to YouTube TV? You get all the TV stations you want.
It's a possibility YouTube could change, brother.
I got something to add to that. I'm Gregory Brown. I'm an artist from the Art Institute, Chicago, and I'm also a podcaster for Love Lingo here. With the TikTok scenario, there's also, when the war started with Russia and
Ukraine.
They was TikToking that.
Yeah.
They was TikToking them at war as they were doing it. As they was parachuting, as they was shooting, as they was out there, as people say, catching bodies, as they were doing what they was doing at war, it was TikToking. So I can see a numbers of reasons why they would take TikTok away, because there's not just that, there's people on there, but they're like portraying that they're like Illuminati, demonic stuff. They're putting that on TikTok too, and there are children watching this. So they see that children violence and all this, they throw it in there, subliminal messages that people don't know. And now your kid is watching this man being, when I say this name, but it starts with a B, is, I know Lucifer, we're just gonna say Lucifer, acting like he's Lucifer, now your child is watching it. Yeah, and your child is watching it. Yep.
What's that?
Baphomet with the horns.
Yeah. Right.
With the horns.
Wow.
Yeah. So this will go to my next question. For your legacy, what do you hope for your legacy to be in the future? So it wouldn't come to this point with artificial intelligence or TikTok taking control of matters. How do you feel about it?
Well, NBC's real strict about TikTok. You could lose your damn job. You work in a mailroom, you get TikTok on your phone, you're gone. Same thing at Harvard and Yale and Princeton too. They'll throw you out of school if they find out you're doing all that stuff, TikTok. And Joe Biden said he's going to do it for federal employees now. So you're one of the few people doing TikTok. And you on TikTok too?
No.
On TikTok, there's something.
What you post? What's the last thing you posted?
The last thing I posted, I don't post. I'm the ultimate voyeur. I watch.
Okay.
You keep your ear to the ground. It keeps me updated on everything.
Well, the last thing I posted was what y'all was just talking about.
Okay.
I follow a lady on TikTok who lives in East Palestine, Ohio, and she was nearby when the water was essentially poisoned. She threw a stone